The king, Kendrick of Arizo, tricks our female protagonist by granting her the right to choose a marriage partner as the reward for the victory. She is stunned by this announcement. He announces in the name of the emperor, whoever she chooses will be her husband immediately. The nobles gathered their talk among themselves that she's far from learning about women's culture, and that they heard that she grew up as a barbaric person walking behind the smell of blood. They're also nervous if she chooses to marry their sons. Our female protagonist is disappointed that after all this, the price of a bloody lifetime battle is choosing a husband. Great warrior Prince Pervaz was the hero of the imperial army who saved the crown prince from danger 30 years ago. But out of jealousy, the crown prince sent him to the task of eliminating the lawyer tribe in the northern lands. Prince Pervaz was a fateful knight and left despite being aware that the place was like a dead end. He was our female protagonist's father. It seemed like he was exiled to Pervaz, the land abandoned by the empire, without any support in the land where her father was expelled to die. He fought fiercely and with all his strength. However, he died on the battlefield, and after her father's death, her brothers fought with all their might. After they all died, she eventually took their place. Finally, under her leadership, the war was over. The knights started jumping with joy. But although the long war ended, their joy of victory did not last much. They were going to starve before this extreme winter was over. In the Pervaz castle, they are trying to anticipate when they are going to receive a reward from the imperial family. Decker reminds her that Pervaz extraterritorial is a place that the emperor doesn't even look at. She points at the decree sent by His Majesty and tells Decker that this is the emperor's promise to them that states if they completely drive the lawyer tribe out of Pervaz, he will definitely pay them back, and if they win the war in the name of Felix Donan, Richard, Alban Fondel, Evaristo, he will give them a reward worth their hard working and sacrifice. Decker inquires if the emperor will keep his promise to them. She replies she doesn't know, but there's no other choice for them if they don't get anything. Pervaz will starve to death. However, she concluded that she wouldn't be able to get compensation easily because the emperor who killed her father won't be willing to pay a reward. She has now returned to the capital. The emperor expresses his condolences for her father's death and adds that since all her brothers are dead too, that means a woman inherited the title of the Marquis of Pervaz. She agrees. He lets out an evil smile that he did not even know. He mentions that he thought that the Savage Princess had come to the banquet. He believes that the Savage Princess is a title that really suits her. She remains silent and thinks to herself. She does not care how many insults she receives. All she wants is that the people of Pervaz can get enough money to survive the winter. The emperor then inquires about her age. She introduces herself as Asha Pervaz and informs that she's 22 this year. His Majesty states that if she's 22, she's at the age where she has to make her debut, expressing an exaggerated concern that she doesn't even have an arranged marriage yet. Asha is clueless and wonders what's with this sudden talk. He further states that he has planned to give a good reward to her, and that is the right to choose a marriage partner, and he will give it to her as a reward for victory. His servant hands over to her a list of nobility names so she can choose who she wants, and whoever she chooses will marry her immediately. He then advises her to get to the top of the list because the closer she gets to the top, the higher her husband's family rating, emphasizing that it's best to look for it from the top of the list. Asha raises a question that if the person she chooses doesn't want to marry her, wouldn't it be difficult for both of them? His Majesty's replies that if the emperor's order gets rejected, then his family will have to pay all money to the imperial family and to her. She is startled by His Majesty's revelation. She finally understands His Majesty's conspiracy to withhold her victory rewards, because the family he chooses would be obliged to pay Pervaz instead of the emperor in the name of alimony. After giving it all a thought, she finally announces her decision to choose Duke Carlisle Haven, who is temporarily deprived Prince of Power. He was originally the Crown Prince, but his position was taken 4 days ago due to an unfortunate incident. That's why on the list of nobles he is also there and is not a member of the imperial family. Asha reminds His Majesty that he said whoever names is written in the top she should choose him as for him. He is the highest ranking nobleman. The emperor's expression tells him that he's not very pleased to hear her decision. The nobles gathered there called her crazy as she chose His Highness Crown Prince Carlisle as her marriage partner. They also talk about the disagreement between his father and him that led to him being currently deprived of the Crown Prince title. He is also nicknamed as the God of War and Slaughter. They wonder if that woman really wants to die. Asha plays her card as she states that if they refuse, under the imperial decree, the son's family would be obliged to pay alimony. The people there are shocked as she indirectly asks the emperor for alimony. In other words, she will receive the victory reward that she should have received from the royal family, but it will come from the foundation instead. They also recall that it was the emperor who talked about alimony and told her that she needs to choose the man with the highest rank. They believe the emperor dug his own grave. Carlisle starts laughing like a maniac while the fooled emperor suggests that he will give her another chance to think. But Asha is adamant on marrying Duke Carlisle Haven. She further states that if he gives her the victory bonus, not the marriage partner's choice, she will withdraw her choice. But Carlisle intervenes. He asks Asha if she's trying to make fun of His Majesty the Emperor, because the Emperor's promise cannot be undone so easily. He states that the fact that he who is His Majesty's eldest son will marry a woman from the village is impossible. However, for the sake of His Majesty's promise, he will accept her marriage proposal. Asha is speechless as it seems after His Majesty. She's the one who dug her own grave. When the reality hits her, her eyes widen with disbelief as she thinks that what she needs right now is money, not a husband, but Carlisle seems rather amused about it as he calls her wife and looks forward to getting along with her. In the imperial living room, Carlisle has summoned Asha. He asks her to go ahead brave Marquis Pervaz. Asha realizes that it is evident with his expressions. He does not seem to like her and wonders what he's thinking. She formally introduces herself but accidentally addresses him as the Crown Prince. She realizes that he is no longer the Crown Prince and she should have called him the Duke Haven. He inquires if she is aware of the reason for abolishing the title of custodian. Asha recalls the time when she and her team arrived in the capital. Carlisle was accused of coveting his father's mistress. It was rumored that he reportedly broke into His Majesty's favorite mistress' chamber. Her team further informed her that the problem between the emperor and his son seems to be His Majesty's extreme bias towards women. Asha thought to herself that capital's population is trafficked by women, and here they have the time and desire to spy on other women. She saw the article where he was mentioned. Now she wonders that she would have never thought back then that the man in the article would be her husband. Carlisle states that even if she doesn't know what he can do, she keeps staring at him thoughtlessly. He asks her to answer and not just stare at him too much. He asks if it's because she loves his handsomeness and thinks to himself that it's hard to deal with someone who clings to him for no reason. She responds not necessarily and admits she is just envious of his body. He is stunned upon hearing her answer. She then discusses the pros and cons that such a lardy body can easily become a target, but there is a force coming from the body, and that's good. He inquires if she is talking in context of fight. She answers back yes. She expresses her desire to have such a body, but she can't as she was born with a different muscle structure. He finds her response interesting. He then wishes to discuss their deal. Asha is surprised as she whispers a deal. Carlisle teases her about the possibility of falling in love with her and accepting her offer. To him it seems like she liked his teasing. He then reveals his real motive, that his father has put a condition on abdicating the throne. The condition states that if he is ready to serve the empire for 3 years and put aside his ego, the crown prince's title will be entrusted to him again. So he is thinking about volunteering to serve Pervaz, who has been tired in the war, and that for the next 3 years. Asha inquires if it's only 3 years, what's after that? Without any expressions, he replies divorce. Asha is shocked. He further instructs her not to care about what he does in Pervaz for the next 3 years. He further clarifies that she doesn't need to expect him to treat her as his wife and not even think about joining the other side of him. If she complies with those conditions, he will provide the financial and material support Pervaz needs. Asha thinks that there is a motive behind accepting that marriage, but she cannot leave Pervaz under that man's control. She inquires what he intends to do in Pervaz. She tells him beforehand that if he has a motive that would damage Pervaz, she would not agree to it. Carlisle questions what she is not going to agree with. Is she going to let the locals starve? He clarifies that he has no intention to damage Pervaz in return. She needs to help him succeed in what he wants. She responds she got it. She asks him to write a contract. He whispers a contract. She reminds him that he said he would not spare the support for reconstruction, and she would like to have a contract specifying this substance in detail. He likes it that she does not trust the promises to just be told without precise details. He believes that as a couple, they'll get along well with each other. Asha asks if by that he means a couple that entered into an agreement to use each other as they needed and separated in an ordinary manner. Carlisle smirks and says, "Look at this. Isn't the conversation between us going well?" Later, Lionel Bailey, who is Carlisle's closest aide, reads the contract and states that she wrote the contract very carefully. Carlisle responds that she's a woman who won't waste money anywhere. Lionel Bailey questions if he is going to marry a brutal woman like that and that there are many more women that are considered candidates to marry the crown prince. He reveals that it's only 3 years and where would he find a chance like this? Lionel Bailey does not understand what he means. He declared this as an opportunity to get rid of the frivolous things that dare to override their limits. Carlisle entered the battlefield from the age of 15 because after his biological mother died, his stepmother, who became Empress Muti, wished that. He fought and he fought again, and he finally survived. He wonders, is that probably because of God's blessing he received at the time of his birth? People called him a murder god and cheered for him when he returned victorious. The current Empress Beatrice and second Prince Marius were present there, witnessing the people's admiration for him. She was aware that if she wants to make her son the crown prince, she has to do something. So she teamed up with Viviana Lori, the emperor's youngest mistress, and accused him of barging in her room in the middle of the night. He said that he did not know this woman was in that room, and someone was trying to trick him, but His Majesty refused to listen to his explanation and accused him of converting his mistress, and that his arrogance has crossed the line. At that moment, he announced that he would remove Prince Carlisle Evaristo from the position of crown prince. He further declares that it was her empress' strategy to get rid of unpopular things at once. Lionel agrees that as a result Marius was temporarily treated as the crown prince and she succeeded in the end. They talk about how after 3 years, the Empress will discover the plan and prevent the restoration of the Crown Princess position, and she will try to make Marius the official Crown Prince. But Carlisle declares that the throne is his and he will kill whoever desires it. He plans to grow his strength beyond the Empress' reach. For this purpose, Pervaz is the right place. Lionel thinks about it and believes it's true. Pervaz is located outside the territorial borders. Carlisle says isn't it good at this point that Pervaz's successor comes to take him with her. Lionel, however, raises a question. Is he going to marry a woman he's never seen before? And does he even know what kind of woman she is? But Carlisle responds by revealing this is not the first time he has seen her. He reveals that he has met her before. A few days ago in the imperial capital of Zyro, Carlisle was present there wearing a cloak to hide his identity. He was thinking about the conspiracy of the Empress that led to his title being taken, and he got completely trapped by the Empress. He blamed himself for it as it was him who wasn't cautious enough and was quick to respond to a letter from a new informant who wanted to make a deal with him. He thought that it would be the assassination attempt at most, but it turned out to be something he never thought of. He took advantage of the rumors that had been spread that he was isolating himself in the room because of his breakthrough, so he decided to use this opportunity to move in secret. There, some bandits approached him with a weapon and asked that he is a new face and would like to exchange few words if he wished to go safely. Carlisle knew that if the situation escalated it would be very unpleasant since he was hiding his identity. That's when someone called out for their unfairness for being 3 against 1. It's Asha who announced that they needed to balance so she would join too. They looked down on her since she was a girl, and asked what's wrong with her. She delivered a powerful punch to his face. Carlisle was surprised as he saw her position was firm and wondered if she was a warrior. The man hurried the other to kill her. Decker grabbed him from behind and called him a coward for sending his younger brother to attack instead. Decker then inquired if she planned to kill the man. She responded that she should really kill them, but it will be compassionate for them. Carlisle noticed they were not using kill words just as a metaphor, and they really seemed capable of killing people. Decker reminded her that they were instructed to refrain from causing trouble in the capital before entering the palace. She decided to leave it then. The men ran for their lives. Carlisle expressed his gratitude for helping him, and said that due to them he was able to survive the danger. Decker responded by requesting to guide them to a cheap and convenient hostel around. They revealed that their group was in danger of sleeping on the streets as the overnight prices in the capital were very high. Asha revealed that their group consisted of 5 people including the 2 of them, and as long as there was a place to wash they could adjust and sleep in the same room. He agreed to guide them. Back in the present, Lionel inquires if that was the reason he returned late that day. Carlisle considers himself the reason they were able to wash and enter the palace, because if she stayed the same, she would have been called a chief beggar instead of the barbaric princess. Lionel is shocked that she is really hitting the gangs with her fists. Even someone like His Highness would have lost if he had misrepresented. He replies, however, it will not be easy for the Empress to send the assassins and succeed in it so easily. Lionel believes this is an important advantage. Carlisle further adds that in order to rebuild Pervaz, she cannot betray him, nor will she bother him with her actions. He reveals that he offered her to stay with him in his mansion. However, she rejected the order and returned to the hostel saying it was uncomfortable for her. He believes she is very careful, that's why she doesn't want to be by his side. He asks her if he thinks there is a better wife than her. Asha informs her team about the contract marriage, and they are shocked to learn about it. But it does not matter to her. Decker is shocked at her response and tries to tell her that her life is at stake. She says that if she could sell herself to save Pervaz, she would sell herself countless times. Given the price, she thinks it's a very good deal. She tries to convince Decker by informing him that with this money, nobody in Pervaz will starve to death this winter. They can also treat the wounded and plant seeds in the field. She asks Decker to imagine the scene where the desolate plains of Kicker are full of plantings. She asks him if he were in her place, would he have chosen another option? And she is at the height of her pleasure now. They all don't seem convinced about it. Nevertheless, they ask when will the wedding take place. She replies, fortunately, they will skip the wedding ceremony and will head to Pervaz immediately after reciting short marriage vows. They talk among themselves about how long marriage vows will take. Even if it were the vows of a gentleman's marriage, wouldn't it take months? They are also aware, since they all are here in the capital, people in Pervaz will probably starve in the meantime. Upon hearing it, Asha reaches quickly at Carlisle Place and inquires when they can leave, next week, or the week after. He thinks to himself that it would be better if it were as soon as possible. But it's a wedding, and if they rush it, would she not feel dissatisfied? He inquires if she has a sweetheart in Pervaz. Why is she in so much hurry? She replies back that the people in Pervaz are waiting for her to come back. He informs her that he's trying to finalize the preparations as soon as possible and asks her to choose her dress and they will modify it. He then instructs Mrs. Loper to start with that. She wonders what's with the word that. 3 seconds later, she's in the bathtub and realizes what the word that meant. All the maids surround her as they are in a rush to prepare her. Washing her hair, they inquire if she used to wrap her hair in a cake. Seeing the condition of her hair, Mrs. Loper also inquires if she uses perfume. And what about oils? Asha replies, why would she even put that in her hair? When they try to fit a corset in her waist, they ask her if she never wears corsets since they have never seen a waist like that. They also talk about how she's too tall and she also has wide shoulders and muscled arms, so a sleeveless dress is not a good option at all. They decide not to go with the purse as it does not suit her puff sleeves, as it's making her shoulders look wider. After going through this, Asha really wishes to go home. The Asha finally appears before Carlisle, whose eyes get fixated on his to-be wife. It seems like His Highness has been lost in her beauty. Man literally screams in shock. He then tells her that if someone sees her, they will think she's a loser because of the expressions on her face. She replies back that she is a loser. They did not let her put any weapon in her clothes to defend herself with it. He inquires from Miss Loper, that isn't the dress so simple, considering it's an imperial celebration. She replies back that the Marquess insisted that the dress looked comfortable, but he assures her that it's okay because he prepared something else for her. He then shows it to Mrs. Loper and asks, would that be enough? Mrs. Loper is left utterly stupefied as her eyes fall upon the very shiny and outrageously luxurious necklace. Mrs. Loper is shocked to see that it's the necklace of the late Queen Evelina. She then suggests that for the diamond necklaces like these, the dress better be simple, and she cannot believe His Highness is giving up such a precious thing. Asha inquires if it is ruby. Mrs. Loper asks her can't she know it just by looking at it. Asha thinks that she should have a little idea about jewelry. Carlisle thinks that she certainly had no interest in jewelry prices because she had been fighting her whole life. He tells her that if she sells that necklace, she can buy about 100 army horses. Asha is shocked and asks if he means this is over 1 million Verona. He places it on her neck and tells her to consider it as a down payment. She wonders that if she sold this she will get a 100 army houses, but is confused whether to buy food first. He smells and realizes she has worn perfume, so he asks her about it. She tells him the maids brought perfume that smelled of flowers and fruits, but they smelled very sweet, so she chose something that smells like grass. He looks at her. She asks him what's wrong. He replies that it smells nice. He wonders to himself that he didn't think she would choose this smell. He states that the necklace finally found her owner. He lifts his hand and caresses her face and tells her that it suits her. He then instructs Mrs. Loper for the preparations to be completed before the vows performance ceremony. Asha thinks to herself that she thought the crown prince's hand would be soft, but she did not expect it to be a warrior's hand. She is confused as to why is her pulse accelerating. She wonders if it is natural for the hands of the battle leader, His Highness Carlisle, to be like the warriors. But her thoughts are once again directed to buying the horses. A few days later at Carlisle and Asha's wedding, the guests gossip about His Highness marrying Asha, and in any case, if His Highness regains the position of crown prince, He will leave her right away, and that way, nor Cecilia, a potential candidate to marry the crown prince, will stand idly by. Cecilia thinks to herself that His Royal Highness insisted on agreeing to marry Marcus Pervaz because Pervaz is an extraterritorial jurisdiction. Regardless of what happens there, the royal family cannot intervene. She also believes through this work the crown prince may be trying to test a suitable candidate to marry him, although there are people abandoning that position because of this. But there's no reason for her to give up on this civil war. She believes the conditions are more favorable to her than anyone else because the golden eye is the symbol of the imperial family. As a royal consort, golden eyes will be preferred. That's why not only the emperors, but also the emperor's mistress Viviana, have golden eyes. She believes she is entitled to that status from Marquess Pervaz, and she is more worthy of the crown prince. She will show it to everyone here soon. His Majesty and the Empress make an entry bringing the chief priest Gabriel Knox of the temple as well. The guests notice Gabriel seems to be in charge of the marriage ceremony, and talk about how Miss Cecilia and President Gabriel, the most beautiful man and woman of the capital, came together and the bride won't even be noticed. They think that even if she's decorated, she will look like a ruler barbarian, so His Highness will be lucky if he is not embarrassed by her today. That's when the announcement of His Highness Prince Carlisle Kendrick and Marquess Asha is made. The guests tilt their heads to look at them and are shocked as the bride looks unrecognizable to them. They also notice the necklace of the late queen, got it as a gift from the emperor when she married him. One woman states that she thinks His Highness abandoned Queen Avelina's property. The other replies that no, it's just to show off. Cecilia doesn't look very pleased to see the necklace on her. Gabriel instructs everyone to sit down and announces that they all are invited to be the witnesses to the wedding ceremony of the first prince of the empire and Marquess Asha. He then recites the vows and instructs them to exchange their rings. As Carlisle puts the ring on her, he advises better when she sells this later. She should put it in the auction house, explaining that it would be sold for much more than the jeweler. She considers his advice. He then wonders that the people present here don't know that this ring is just an emergency fund for the bride. He then looks at his wife and says his wife has a revolutionary spirit which makes her interesting. Gabriel instructs them to sign the pledge now that they have finished exchanging rings. After they are done signing the pledge, he announces them as husband and wife under royal, imperial, and divine law. Carlisle thinks to himself that no one will deny this relationship. They should also keep that promise with heavy responsibility and sincere love. In the wilderness, he agreed to marry because he thought it would help him, and now it's refreshing to see his father and the Empress have their faces upset. Gabriel states that after that both of them will complete their vows with their first kiss as husband and wife. Asha thinks they should do it as now they are husband and wife. Carlisle notices her expressions and realizes that she just wants to finish and go home, but he is determined to not let her go simply. He grabs her waist and kisses her passionately. As he is kissing her, he looks her in the eye and smirks. He bites him and tells him to do it leisurely, His Highness. He states that what if he can only kill boredom this way. Gabriel looks very ashamed by his behavior and says Lord Lapelt looks at him and he needs to purify his body and mind. Carlisle responds that the Lord Lapelt will understand the newlyweds couple's passion. On their way to Pervaz, Decker recalls how Asha refused to go back to Pervaz as she thinks she should stay a little longer, but she suggests he should head back first as there are supplies that need to be delivered urgently, and they also have to provide a suitable place for His Highness Prince Carlisle to stay at Pervaz Castle. He wonders how he is going to explain it to the people of Pervaz. When he reaches the people there await him. They also notice how he is guarded by the knights. One of the ladies questions him who they are. He informs them that Asha has married the crown prince. They are surprised and inquire that their lady has become the crown princess. They throw at him a lot of questions, that if it's true that His Highness the crown prince will come to live here, or will they divorce in 3 years? So what about their lady? And if he saw this all with his eyes? He just replies that His Highness the crown prince has some personal business within Pervaz's exterior territorial boundaries, so they need supplies to rebuild the area. He also adds that it's just that their interests are one, so some believe they will live together for only 3 years. The lady is disappointed and reminds him that they asked them to bring something to eat, not the crown prince. One of the team members states that he is worried about their lady because they were attacked several times on the way here. He recalls how they were talking about Prince Carlisle sending the knights with them and wondering if it's because of the lack of trust. That's when the bandits came and attacked them. But before they could take action, the knights surrounded them and stood in defensive mode. They wonder if His Highness was aware that they are going to be attacked, so he sent the knights with them. Decker states that Asha is now stuck in a gap and she's exposed to many death threats as she's now a member of the Imperial family, but states what's the point of talking about it now. He hopes it's just like Asha said, it's just a relationship based on money exchanges and room rentals, so they should at least clean the place where His Highness will stay. He reminds him that it will take him about a month to arrive, and encourages them to work hard. Decker is still stressed as he wonders to himself if His Highness Carlisle is on their side as he claims. He is confused if he is a threat to Asha. A few days later at the Imperial family, Carlisle informs Marius that from now onwards he will have to defend the southern part of the empire, and to ask if he has any questions. He seems clueless and asks, why should he defend the south? Carlisle confronts him about it and says that since he is now treated as the heir, he must do the things that he used to do. He reminds him that the reason he has been walking around the battlefield so far was just to perform his duties as the crown prince. He teases him, making it look like these are no big responsibilities, that he just needs to eliminate huge monsters that appear 2 or 3 times a year and deal with minor disputes. His facial expressions tell that he's already intimidated, while his father looks at him with disappointment. In his mind he calls them fools and wonders if they understand the reality now. Originally he would task him with voluntary work, but now he is leaving to Pervaz outside the regional borders. The Emperor then talks about the military power and the budget details that he has provided for this time. Carlisle says if by that he means the dowry and his moving expenses. He whispers yes. The Emperor thinks to himself that he is a prince by name, but he carries a dowry for Pervaz as a son-in-law. He agrees to call it moving cost, however inquires, isn't 50 million Verona too much for the money he has to give to Pervaz? Marius agrees that it's too much for Pervaz and if 50 million will resolve the situation there. Carlisle tells him not to talk about those things. He inquires why. Carlisle responds that it is very clear that he did not go to war before and reminds him that it took 28 years for Pervaz to win the war against the lawyer. And isn't he aware how many areas have been destroyed in the meantime and how much money and time it will take to get it back? He calls him out for blabbering that 50 million Verona is a lot, so he needs to study a lot more. Back in his chamber he says that his father has to teach a lot of things to Marius and poor him has taken his job overnight. He then recalls how their faces looked and laughs about it, telling Asha and Viscount Giles Lapelt that they should have seen their stupid faces and that they didn't even think about military affairs. She asks isn't military power a superpower and wonders why Marius would hate to take military power. He answers back that the military authority he's talking about is only the military command authority that occurs after taking part in the war by the order of the Emperor. Only the Emperor has the real authority to send soldiers or declare war. Moreover, a person is supposed to take responsibility for losing the war just because they have the military leadership. He further adds that if he had lost even once, they would have held him accountable. Viscount Giles believes that he was just trying to remove him from the imperial palace and thinks to himself that the Emperor himself has authority and responsibility is entrusted to him. He replies that it's so obvious that the village lady found out and asks her if it isn't great that he has an amazing husband like him. She expresses how it must have been like a burning hell, but the chill of his nerves that he has endured all this without doing something wrong is great. Carlisle inquires if she's complimenting him or insulting him. She assures him that it's a pure compliment. He thinks to himself that he would consider it empty if it was someone else, but maybe it's true because this stems from her heart and not just a compliment. Viscount Giles mentions that they would have to share the same goals if they want to get on the same board, but by the looks of Marquess Pervaz, she seems to know nothing. He is ready to consider it if that's what Lord Lapelt thinks. Then he realizes this is their first encounter and wonders if they have greeted each other. He then introduces Viscount Giles Lapelt, his professor and role model, to Asha, and states that he's the most destructive person his enemies want to destroy. He's the person he thought would object to their marriage more than anyone else. Viscount Giles' reply is that now he has no choice but to change his strategy because he fell into the Empress scheme and destroyed the position of Crown Prince during his absence. He then inquires from Asha how much does she know about His Highness Carlisle. She states that he's been Crown Prince since he was born, and she also knows that he is the best knight in the Empire. Viscount Giles confesses that His Highness was born with the blessing of Ageracy, god of war and victory. His genius has emerged in various types of combat techniques. She questions if it is really the blessing of a god. Viscount Giles states that a prophecy came from the temple when His Highness Prince Carlisle was raised. He proved that the prophecy was real. He adds that the main person who maintained the peace of the empire was him. As he traveled to and from a lot of battles, Viscount Giles is disappointed that the prince has been removed from the position. He questions how they can use such a ploy to manipulate the position of Crown Prince. Carlisle asks Viscount Giles to calm down, and maybe it's a blessing that sounds like a curse. He replies that now that the matter has come this far, they should do something. He tells Carlisle that he was falsely accused of appealing to his father's throne, and they must not remain silent on this matter. Asha wonders if that was a false accusation. Viscount Giles emphasizes that the role of Pervaz Borders is also important. She asks him what should she do. The Empress and the Prince Marius will try to discard His Highness' reputation, so he wants her to protect His Highness when that happens. She questions if she will be able to guard His Highness Prince Carlisle day and night. Carlisle smirks and says he can protect himself physically and she should not worry. Instead, he wants her to be his shield as a wife. Viscount Giles informs her that the imperial family cares a lot about saving their face. That's why he couldn't interfere before. But thanks to her, His Highness gets to go in the remote Pervaz region, where he may be able to build his strength away from the eyes of the imperial family. They're aware that the Empress would not be pleased with that at all. She wonders if he accepted the offer of marriage just so he can build his strength in the Pervaz. Viscount Giles warns her that the Empress will try to trick her into getting divorced and serious things are likely to happen depending on the situation. She ponders to herself about it being so dangerous. She then asks His Highness if it's okay that he is planning to commit high treason in Pervaz. He laughs and admits that he's a little worried. He explains that the Empress increased her strength a lot while he was away on the battlefield, so he has to settle in one place and gather his strength. Viscount Giles states that the public also expresses their desire for him to be reinstated to his position. Asha asks Carlisle to take care of him until they leave for Pervaz and promises that she'll not interfere in his affairs there, and assures him that she will be his shield as much as she can, so they can keep their marriage then quietly separate when the time comes. He responds that he will take care of himself, so he wants them to survive as much as they can. Asha ponders if he's worried about her. She tells him in advance that he has to equip everything that he needs there. He responds that if she considers even lending him a needle is waste. She replies that's not the case, and there's literally nothing in Pervaz. She mentions that she can lend him a needle, but it'll be of much lower quality than those used in the imperial family. He asks her not to worry since he has already written everything on his list. He also teases that if he gets tired of using his stuff, he'll throw it away, and she can pick it up and use it as she likes. She takes a bow and expresses her gratitude. Carlisle isn't pleased with her response as his wife is way too formal with him. A few days have passed and it's finally the day they are leaving for Pervaz. Asha is stunned to see so many boxes piled up filled with food. Carlisle inquires if she likes it. She replies she didn't know it would be so exaggerated and she didn't even imagine it. He agrees with her and says that even his dad wouldn't have imagined it. She wonders if they pick up the crumbs of these, Pervaz will become very rich. She knows she made the right decision as Pervaz wouldn't have escaped poverty without this opportunity. Carlisle instructs that they have to go. The people cheer for him as he makes his way, excited to see the Crown Prince. Asha thinks to herself that he's more loved than she had expected, and if he was this trustworthy when he was the Crown Prince. She then tells Lionel that His Highness seems to love the people. He asks her if she's speaking ironically. She answers back that part of her believes it and the other part does not believe it. Lionel informs her that it's just a part of the plan. He has to win the trust of the people to restore the position of the Crown Prince and to secure the throne in peace. He suggests that she should get used to serving His Highness Prince Carlisle in the future. She thinks if by that he means he is someone who counts all his steps. Carlisle then enters the carriage and expresses that he's tired. Asha glances at him. He inquires where he is going to do that act next. Lionel answers that it'll be in Owendom, and they will reach there in 2 days. He then questions Asha why does she keep looking at him like that. Asha responds that even though the distance between him and the people who were happy to visit him was not much, she still felt it was a very long distance. He inquires if by that she means that he's doing something wrong, and states that they are more and more happy to move away, and he's ready to be a god for them. Asha wonders if he does that play just to satisfy people's expectation. To her it sounds like a trick at first glance, a play that no one pays money to see, but she does not find anything wrong with it, because that's how the people of the capital think. Later, they call it a night and set their camps to sleep. A knight instructs others to collect firewood and light a fire, and let the guards stay alert and take shifts around the carriage. The knight then comes to inform them that they move their stuff into the tent, and if they need anything, they can call him freely. Asha is astonished and inquires what he means by their stuff. He asks if he made a mistake and moved someone else's stuff. Carlisle smirks and recalls that she decided to sleep separately. He commands the man to leave and he will be called if needed. She tells Carlisle that she thinks the servants moved her stuff to his tent, and Carlisle states that he can hear so she doesn't have to explain it twice. He asks her if she really wishes to sleep in a separate tent. She replies it is not like that. He says if that is the case she should not make servants suffer needlessly, and instructs her to just sleep in his tent, and reminds her they are just a couple on the paper. She agrees to do it if he's not uncomfortable, but he leaves before he could hear. She thinks about the rumors that said he was looking for the women, even in battlegrounds, and thinks that he would not mind sharing his tent with a girl like her, would he? She tries to convince herself that they're just a couple on a paper. What's so big about them sleeping in one tent? Later we see Asha handing over his shirt to Carlisle and apologizing for being a bit careless. He assures her that it's okay. Flashbacks. Asha is trying to convince herself to sleep with him, as she did sleep alongside other men with the sky as their roof during her time on the battlefield. And now she has to sleep with a man from another house in the same tent. It is to be expected, since they are husband and wife in name. She calls herself pathetic for worrying about these things, since she is not like those girls in the capital that were raised cautiously. She recalls how when she was younger, she used to fall asleep in her brother's room after playing. But after she grew up, she has never shared a room with a man. She wonders what her family would think of her if they could see her right now. She is grateful that because of the contractual marriage, countless assets and money are flowing towards the Pervaz, but is still concerned as there's a chance that Pervaz will fall into danger because the fate of Pervaz currently rests in the hand of the Lord Carlisle. She prays for the safety of Pervaz, believing that she is the vanguard of the Pervaz and the one who will protect Pervaz is her. She then tells herself that she should not be making weak statements as she is the one who made a deal with Carlisle. She then plunges her face into the water and converses herself to stay calm because this is the part she chose, therefore the responsibility is also hers. She then leaves. Carlisle is hidden behind a tree and is spying on her. He was shocked to see her plunging her face in the water like that and is surprised because he has never seen a woman wash her face that rough in his life. He then touches the water and wonders would not her teeth fall out if she hits her head that hard. He is shocked to see that the water is unbearably cold. Nevertheless, to him, she is an interesting one. In the tent, he inquires if she's really going to sleep on the floor. She is confused. If not the floor, then where? He simply says that he would not stop her if she's the type to enjoy being uncomfortable. He is unbuttoning his shirt when he tells her that the water is colder because they are closer to the north. He has taken off his shirt completely by now. She is unbothered about his being naked and replies that it will be way more colder when the autumn comes. He is disappointed and thinks that she looks at him like she would look at cows or chickens, whether he takes off his clothes or not. He then states that whether as his wife or as a temporary aide, he would appreciate it if she could help him get dressed. She suddenly apologizes as she did not think of that and comes to him and says that even if she's a bit clumsy she would be grateful if he would generously forgive her. He is again disappointed with her for being too formal. He realizes how she's only focused on dressing him. He recalls that people said he had a body that could make any woman fall on sight, but he wonders if it was a body that was only attractive to other men because since he has always been on the battlefield, he never had a chance to take off his clothes in front of a woman, so there's no way for him to know. After she is done dressing him up, she asks if there is anything bothering him. He replies his heart is a bit bothered, but he is fine. She is confused. He tells her it's nothing and she should go to sleep. She wonders if he's acting like that because it's not as comfortable as a servant would do it, but does he really need to make a point of showing it? She thinks that if that's the duty expected of them as a couple, then it won't be difficult for her either. She thinks to herself that since he's been with so many women before her, he probably wouldn't even be interested in a woman like her. He then lets her know that he is turning off the lights, and she replies okay. Later at night he notices that her blankets are thin and inquires if her back is okay. She replies that she has been sleeping with one cloak on the floor every day, so this is almost luxurious. He then asks her to tell the stories about Pervaz. He tells her they will be entering the castle soon, so he should know beforehand. She inquires what is he curious about. He asks how cold are the winters. She tells him that it's hard for her to say since she does not have a comparison. But according to the merchant, it's so cold that it feels like their thing would shrink. He starts laughing. She wonders if laughing at the other person's words like that, a noble etiquette in the capital. He then inquires if she really was the one that cut off the head of the Lure tribe leader. She admits it. He believes if it was the Lure tribe leader, his skills were probably something. She replies that they were not bad, but he wasn't as skilled as her father. She then reveals that they were so severely outnumbered because of that her father and brothers all died in the war. She then talks about Masha, who fought on the battlefield for 28 years. The spell of the necklace of the god of murder retained his youth. He asks her if that's the thing she offered as a trophy. She answers back, yes, and that it was a victory that was achieved thanks to her father and brothers who fought to the end to protect Pervaz from falling to the barbarians. He then recalls that she had said her father Amir Pervaz was a great knight. He believes that with the ulterior motive of killing Amir Pervaz, his father sent him to Pervaz, since all those who went to Pervaz before could not even last here and unalive themselves. She replies that her father knew of the royal king's intentions, but if he was going to die anyway, he wanted to put his best efforts. She also reveals that the people of Pervaz also proactively followed her father's will, since he was the only one who did not give up and prepared them to fight the barbarians. Carlyle thinks to himself that he was the only lord who did not run away from that hopeless situation. It only makes sense that they became loyal to him. He thinks it would have been nice if Amir Pervaz was still alive. He never ran away from Pervaz, a knight who spent his daily life on the battlefield in order to rebuild Pervaz, but he realizes that maybe it was that very woman. He thinks by doing so she was able to secure a reward for her victory from the king with her boldness, and maybe she was even greater than her father. Amir Pervaz inquires about her brothers and how many brothers did she have, but she has fallen asleep. On the other hand, Marius refuses to go on the battlefield. He explains that he is someone who has not even stepped foot in a place like that. Her mother assures him not to worry too much since there is a way she already thought of.